For kids didn't want to come home for the holidays, so the stubborn old man made a decision. He'd go find them, one by one, ask them face to face, "How are you doing?" All he wanted to hear was, "I'm doing great," he thought. That's what they'd all say. But from his oldest son's reaction, he saw hesitation. They all said they were fine. But that brief pause, and those dodging eyes, he caught all of it. As a dad, he can't be fooled by that. He started to wonder if they were actually unhappy. So he set a plan. They'd all meet on Thanksgiving. He was full of hope. But what he got instead were voice messages. One said work was busy, one said the kid was sick, one said they couldn't get away. Everyone apologized. The reasons all made sense, but no one came home. Ever since the kids grew up, the house got quiet. The last time they were all together was his wife's funeral. After that, the phone barely rang. That's when it hit him. The connection in this family was gone. No one spoke the truth. Silence on both ends. Anyone could see. It hurt. He sat alone at the empty table, staring at himself in the mirror. Then suddenly, he made up his mind. He'd go see for himself how his kids were really doing. The doctor told him not to travel, definitely not to fly. His lungs were in bad shape, but he went anyway. Told no one, packed his own bags, brought his meds, and an old camera. Before leaving, he stood in front of his wife's photo, for a long time, like he was asking for permission. Then he closed the door to the home he'd lived in for 70 years. On the road, he kept talking to strangers. Even if they didn't understand him well, he'd say he was going to see his son, pull out photos, show them off. His oldest makes music. His younger son is a painter. His youngest daughter dances. His eldest daughter runs a company. When he talked about them, his eyes lit up. But when it came to himself, he was just an electrician. Did it for 30 years. Worked hard to put them through school. Now that they've made something of themselves, he felt it was all worth it. After a long trip, he finally reached his younger son's place. He was excited, wanted to surprise him, but after ringing the bell for a long time, no one answered. So he sat by the door, waiting, like forgotten luggage. It got dark. Someone started eyeing him. A woman came over, tried to take him away. He refused, but didn't embarrass her. He cracked a joke, smoothed things over, kept it from getting awkward, saved both their dignity. As the night grew deeper, it hit him. He'd come all this way, but didn't even know if his son still lived here. Passing by a gallery, he stopped. There was a painting in the window. He recognized it instantly. His son's work. Messy, dark colors, but signed with his name. He froze. His mind flashed back. His son riding a bike, saying he wanted to paint. He had said, then be an artist, not the kind who paints walls. Paint something that moves people. Standing there, he felt a bit of relief. Maybe being strict back then was the right call. His steps felt lighter as he went to find a place to stay. At an all-night diner, he met another old man, healthy, but said living too long felt like a burden. His kids were always busy. No time for him. They don't not love me, he said. They just don't have time. The next day, he went back to his son's place. Still closed. So he left a letter, slipped it under the door. The words sounded light, but his heart felt heavy. He didn't know where his son was. Told himself, he must just be busy. Then he left, headed to the next child. After leaving New York, he went to his eldest daughter's city. This time, he stopped bragging about his kids, mostly just kept moving, ate cheap food, stayed in the worst motels. At night, because of his health, he couldn't sleep, just sat in the lobby, staring, watching old shows on TV. Power lines stretched outside the window, one after another. He watched them, growing quieter inside. Days later, he finally stood at his daughter's door. When he rang the bell, he felt nervous. This time, the door opened. She was surprised, but let him in. His grandson helped carry his bag. That's when he realized the suitcase had wheels. He'd carried it the whole way. To him, love meant carrying the weight. For the younger generation, it looked different. In the backyard, he finally saw his daughter. To him, she was still that little girl, but she seemed uneasy. Her smile felt stiff. She kept changing the subject. When he asked about her husband, her answers were vague. He felt uneasy, but didn't think too much of it. At least on the surface, she seemed to be doing well. That gave him a bit of comfort. At dinner, his son-in-law finally came home, brought a gift, but felt distant, looked relaxed, but was clearly exhausted. He was attentive to his wife, but her responses always lagged a beat. Everyone was trying to act normal, except the grandson. He spoke too honestly. The mood shifted instantly. He said it was fine, but his heart sank a little. Something felt off in this house. So he suggested staying a few more days. His daughter refused right away. Lots of reasons, all sounding reasonable, but none really holding up. He tried again. Still no. She clearly didn't want him to stay. So he said he understood. To him, seeing her at all was enough. The next day, as he was leaving, he finally figured out how to use the suitcase wheels. He wanted a family photo, but noticed his son-in-law was wearing the same clothes as yesterday. The three of them stood together, smiling awkwardly, like something was between them. This family was barely holding together. Before leaving, he gave her the letter, then asked the question, "How are you doing?" She said she was fine. He didn't push. Some things, if your kids don't want to say, as a dad, you pretend you didn't notice. The train kept heading west. The power lines outside looked the same, but something inside him had changed. He used to feel proud. Now he started to wonder if he'd pushed his kids too far away. The things his daughter didn't say felt like a thorn in his heart. He began to realize those seemingly perfect lives might just be held together by force. He stopped asking too much, stopped trusting appearances. Next stop, his oldest son, but this time, his expectations were lower. When he got to Denver, he tried to lift his spirits. A huge poster outside the concert hall gave him a bit of pride again. He told strangers, "That's my son." But inside the rehearsal hall, he froze. The one conducting wasn't his son. He looked around, and finally saw him in the back, playing drums. In that moment, it wasn't disappointment, it was confusion. His son ran over, a little nervous, said this was what he did now. Playing drums, it's good enough. He listened, but felt a gap inside. He thought his son could have been more, stood higher. But his son said, this life was enough. It was his choice. He had no words. The air grew tense. He wanted to stay longer. But his son said he had to leave. Touring again. Another refusal. They went for a walk. His son pulled out a cigarette. He instinctively tried to stop him. That one move set everything off. Years of buried emotions exploded. His son stopped going along with him, started pushing back. Why does it always have to be your way? He went quiet, didn't lecture this time. He finally realized he'd always been controlling. Later, he let go, told his son to live his own life. His son calmed down too. Things softened between them. Before they parted, he asked again, "How are you doing?" His son said, "I'm good." This time, he chose to believe him. They hugged, awkwardly, like they hadn't done it in years. After that, he finally saw it clearly. Every child was hiding something. He just didn't know why yet. On the road, he met a young man, about his younger son's age. He gave him some money. The guy complained it wasn't enough, even threatened him. During the argument, his meds fell to the ground, and got crushed. They were important. He panicked, but there was nothing he could do. For the first time, he felt like he couldn't hold on anymore. He stepped into a phone booth, dialed a familiar number. On the other end, his wife's old recording. Same voice as always, but she was gone. He had a dream. His younger son was in trouble. Even in the dream, he was still pushing him, trying to make him proud. When he woke up, he was in Las Vegas. He went to find his youngest daughter. This time, someone came to pick him up. She seemed to be doing well. Nice place, nice car. He didn't ask much, just felt happy for her. But something felt off. A neighbor knocked, asked her to watch a child. He held the kid, and felt something familiar. He didn't ask, just paid more attention. That night, he realized his meds were almost gone. Then the phone rang. It was the landlord. Said the house was being taken back. That's when he understood. It was all fake. Her life was borrowed. He didn't get angry, just deeply disappointed. He decided to go home. Leave the next day. Now he understood. His kids weren't happy. They were just pretending. He even started to wonder if he was the reason they turned out this way. On the way back, he chose to fly, but his body couldn't handle it. Something went wrong mid-flight. He was rushed to the hospital. In a coma, he dreamed again. This time, everyone was there. And finally, they told the truth. His eldest daughter was divorced. His oldest son never made it big. His youngest daughter's child was her own. And his younger son was nowhere to be seen. When he woke up, he was in a hospital bed. All his kids were there, except one. He kept asking. Finally learned the truth. His younger son had died. In that moment, he broke. He didn't want to believe it, but had no choice. Turns out, his son had been struggling all along, holding on, trying to meet his expectations, until he couldn't anymore. He didn't know who to blame, didn't know where the pain should land. Was it his strictness back then, or that unanswered doorbell? He wanted to say sorry, but could never say it, to the one who needed to hear it. After leaving the hospital, he went to the gallery, wanted to buy his son's painting, but it had already been sold. The clerk recognized him, said his son used to come by often. Also said, if it weren't for his father, he wouldn't be who he is today. Hearing that, hurt even more. Then the clerk brought out another painting, his son's favorite. Simple, but it shattered him completely. By Christmas, the kid started calling more, and he learned to let go, stop chasing perfection. Everyone has their struggles. A family isn't about always being okay. It's about, when someone falls, they're still seen, and can still say, I'm not okay.